Evening guys, this is just a quick run through of the latest version of Garage Hive's Power BI reports. The report is now available, should be with all of you with the upgrade to Business Central. So just get straight into it. At the end of this video, I'm just going to show you a couple of quick tips as well on sort of refreshing your data, etc. So what I recommend that you do when you've signed into Power BI, if you go to My Workspaces at the bottom here, and then just select Reports. This is where your reports will be. You should have one report which will be called Garage Hive. This demonstration, we're going to work with this data called Garage Hive Sample Reports. What I recommend that you do is utilize the favorites section. So if you just mark it as favorite, when you sign in, you just get access straight to your favorite reports, which is this one at the top here. Just going to go ahead and open the report. So this is the new dashboard. You now have, what have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versions of this dashboard. And down here, you'll see that the first 6 tabs are simply this dashboard, but pre-filtered to a particular time period. So this week, last week, this month, last month, and custom date range, and today. Now, all of these reports are mobile friendly. So I'm just going to very quickly show you something. This is what it looks like on the app. So I do recommend that you download the application. It's Android and iOS and Microsoft app. Sign in with your Power BI credentials, get access to your report, and you can actually switch through the pages just like this. Now, not all the pages are mobile friendly because some of the pages are a bit too complex, but most of them are actually mobile friendly. And it's just as simple as just scrolling through, and it's available on your phone, and it refreshes probably 8 times a day or so. So again, I just recommend you get the app on your phone. It is really good. So we'll just take a look at this. Now, this data is taken from one of Lindley's Auto Centre's branches. Just something to make you all aware of. In Lindley's, we don't really use quantity of hours at all. We tend to book out on labour rate. So, for example, diagnostic charge, we may charge £45 for a diag charge, but we charge it as a quantity of 1. So some of the data in this report doesn't look right for Lindley's. It all depends on whether you want to use quantities or not. Lindley's reports are slightly different to the standard set, but I've just used our data as just an example here. So what you'll see here, if we look at this month, for example, you get your revenue, your gross profit, number of jobs, average invoice value, and average invoice profit. Your actual labor, your desired labor rate and actual labor rate. This is where Lindley's fall down slightly on this because of the way we book stuff out. I'll touch on that again when we look at the technicians. Total labor sales. We've now introduced the concept of either break times can be considered work time or non-work time, depending on if they're paid or not. Efficiency is a combination of utilization and recovery rate, which I'll touch on when we look at the technician reports. Profit margin is very simply your gross profit to revenue, which is a very important KPI. Then you can monitor things like diagnostic hours, diagnostic sales, number of services, MOTs, open estimates. We've got some tire information here, parts information. Then we've introduced inspections and VHCs and percentage of inspections to jobs and percentage of VHCs to jobs as well. And again, there's a more detailed VHC report which we'll touch on further down this video. So you've got your date ranges down here, so I could look at last month or go to a custom month if I wanted to. So let's just take a look at the technician's report. So for data protection, I've renamed. You're going to see some odd things because of data protection. I've renamed most of the technicians because it did display first and second names here, which I obviously don't want to put out to the public. And in some cases, some of the customer details have been hidden as well for data protection. Okay, so what we have here, this is Garage Hive's concept of how we measure mechanics. So utilization is just very simply the percentage of time that the technician spent clocked onto a job. And then recovery or labor sales recovered is the percentage of the time which they recover charged at full rate. So instead of actually looking at hours sold, in Garage Hive, we look at labor sales divided by labor rate to give you the full the hours sold at the maximum value. The reason why in the default set of reports we don't focus on hours sold is because you could actually sell as many hours as you want at no value at all. So this is Garage Hive's concept. we do have another report which we'll touch on, which touches on the more classical concept of understanding hours sold. So what I can see here is that this technician was 94% utilized and recovered 130% of his time at full labor rate. Efficiency is simply a measure of these two combined. So if I look at technician B, for example, you notice that when I click on his name, the rest of the report filters down to him. We can see he was 94% utilized and recovered 130%, and those two combined is an overall efficiency of 123%. Again, you get the breakdown here, so you can see work time minus break times and utilized time gives you your utilization, and then you've got your labor sales down here. So for example, if I click on technician A, you'll see that all this on the right hand side changes to a more detailed version. Likewise, I've got the date slices across the top. So going to the next report, we've got technician detailed. This is quite a cool report because it gives you the color scale on how the technicians are comparing with each other. So we've set these grades. They're not set at any particular level. They're dynamic based on how the best and how the worst technician is performing. Again, you can look at individual days across the months, and you just get a bit of a more detailed breakdown of the technicians. If you multi-location as well, this is where you can see all your branches together with all your technicians. So moving onwards, we've got item sales. This gives you a breakdown of how certain item categories are performing. So for example, if I wanted to look at my tire category, I can actually see the individual transactions within that category. Likewise with the pie chart as well. So if I just select parts, for example, the report will change just to parts. So good information here. You can see revenue, quantity, parts margin, and parts profit across categories and across single items as well. So moving on to labor sales. Much like parts, we've got a breakdown of the labor categories. So if I wanted to look at just my service labor, I can do. I can see which technicians have done which amount of service labor at what labor rate, and how each particular type of service labor breaks down. And also you can see obviously a breakdown in the pie chart here. Moving onwards, we've got the monthly view. So this is a very detailed view, day by day, of revenue, margins, jobs, etc. So this is just to give you a very quick glimpse of how the month's performing. And again, you can see these color scales, so it allows you to understand which days are good, which days are bad. Moving onwards, we've got the yearly report. This is one of my favorite reports. So again, you see that we've got these color scales here. So what you can see is this branch actually seems to be performing better in the more recent months. You've got a breakdown of all the categories across the top here. Lots of detail for you to go into. And then we've got bar charts of just some key metrics. So number of MOTs, revenue, gross profit, number of jobs. Okay, moving across to VHC. This allows you to actually view the VHCs within Power BI to actually see the breakdown of some of the VHCs. The VHCs in Garage Hive are vehicle inspections that have been confirmed to quotes essentially. So if mechanics identified that there's some work required and front of house have actually produced some form of estimate, and that's what we consider a VHC. So again, you've got your KPIs along here, but what's quite cool, if I wanted to look at this one, for example, so we've got a reason code of expensive, I can actually see on the right hand side what was authorized and what wasn't authorized. Likewise, if I want to look at authorized work and click authorized, it will filter to the authorized work. So then moving on, we've got the WIP report and booking report. So this is quite ugly but extremely functional. So this allows you to see on any given day what the bookings are for the following day or the existing day, and then the status of the existing jobs. So for example, if I wanted to look at tomorrow, I can see that we've got 1 aircon, 7 MOTs, 9 repair jobs, 3 service MOTs, 3 services, and 5 tyre jobs, with a total value of £1,600 pending already. Moving on, we've got attendance reports. So this uses the time registration entries from Garage Hive to give you the total work time of the technicians. It will go red if it's under an amount of time and dark green if it's considered overtime. Then you just get a total run through. Again, this can be viewed by month as well. We've recently introduced customer heat maps, so you can now see where your customers are coming from over an amount of time. And this is just based on postcode information. So these boxes are just hiding data. So we've got customer information. So you can see top customers by revenue, by document, and then you can look at a particular single day, for example, and then you can actually analyze the transactions of that day from this screen as well. Vehicle analysis, this will give you your top makes and models, again, on any particular month or day. It's quite straightforward. If I select, so we'll go Volkswagen, for example, then this on the right-hand side will change just to Volkswagens. Likewise, if I go Skoda, you can see the breakdown of the Skodas. So a really cool report, especially if you want to invest in diagnostic equipment. This is a cracking report. And then finally, there's the bonus report. So this is the new workshop efficiency report. This is one that we can't really use because we don't sell stuff based on quantity of hours. We do it more on labor sales. But what this is essentially is a more traditional version of the Garage Hive concept of measuring mechanics. So what you have is tech utilization, productivity, and then overall efficiency. Now the calculations for those are all down here. So if we look at utilization, it's hours sold by hours attended. Productivity is hours sold by hours worked. And overall efficiency is hours sold by hours attended. And break times are not considered hours attended. So this is another way of reporting. You get both versions, so it's up to you which one that you want to use. So yeah, this is just the final technicians one. So that's a very quick run through of the latest version of Garage Hive's Power BI reports. Just a quick tip: a lot of you ask me about refreshing the data. To force a refresh, so you have scheduled refreshes, which are just throughout the day, sort of 6 to 8 times per day the data will refresh. If you want to force a refresh, if you go to my workspace, go to data sets, and then just click this button here, this will actually force a refresh. So if I wanted to refresh this one, I just select this cog here and the data will start to refresh. Okay, so the next version of Power BI, we're looking probably going to be 6 to 8 weeks away. We're going to be introducing a few more concepts, such as like marketing channel, etc. If you've got any questions or if you've got any ideas on reporting, then just please let me know. I'll speak to you in the community forum. Thank you.